you for entrusting us with your stories. It's an honor. Without objection, I would like to now invite Representative Steele to engage in a colloquy with one of our witnesses to further discuss their firsthand experiences of the CCP's genocide, to be followed by a colloquy with Representative Carson. Representative Steele, you are now recognized for a 5-minute colloquy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much, witnesses. You guys are very much courageous coming out, and you are just not let us know, but you are letting American people know that what CCP does. So I'm just so grateful. Human rights abuse is happening at the hands of CCP should horrify every one of us. We cannot allow what they are doing to fly under the radar. The CCP is committing genocide against Uyghurs and other ethnic and religious minorities like Muslims and Christians. We cannot be silent. The CCP is the greatest threat to democracy. Today, that means exposing the CCP for who they are and ensuring the world hears your stories. Thank you for coming out. And my own family fled from North Korea from communism. I heard about it, and I had 2 ladies actually came from Uyghur. They had the labor camp experiences, and they talked about it before they go in. Before they go to the prison, they actually scan your organs. So when you have healthy organs, the CCP is harvesting those organs and they're selling it. So they are doing organ harvesting. But you know what? When I read your stories, it's horrifying. It's much worse than what I heard. So I just want to ask you, Ms. Sudak, that you had experiences in those labor camp. Could you tell us a little more about that, how the CCP has been treating Uyghur children in the camp? And I think you saw those people there.
Şu yerdə qurulğan 2 çoğun qul zavodiga mən özüm bağlan. Bunun birinci qul zavodi Ürümçi Tensar rayonu Xongyanlu degan yerga joylashgan. Chunki bu yerda mening yo'ldoshim o'sha yerda xizmat qildi, cho'ng bir shirkat bu. Mushu yerga 2018-yili Qashqa Aqto'dan 114 Uyg'ur yosh qiz yigit yo'tkab kelingan.
Personally, myself, I have been to 2 slave factories. Those factories were located in Tianshan, Xongyanlu, Urumqi. And it's kind of big company. And in 2018, this factory brought many young Uyghurs from Aqto, Qashqar.
Çünkü yo'lishimdanki Xitoy stas yaxshi bo'lganligi uchun o'sha yerda menga telefon ochib, shu yerdagi zavod boshliqlari bilan shu kelgan qo'l ishchilar bilan to'xtam tuzmoqchi ekanlar 10 necha turlik. Shu to'xtamning tarjimasini men qilib bergan Xitoycha ham Uyg'urcha. Shuning uchun endi esimda qolgan.
I remember that incident very clearly because since my husband's Chinese is not good, he doesn't have good Chinese skills, so he needed to talk to the workers, and they had to make a contract between the factory and the workers. So I personally involved in making that contract. That contract was both in Chinese and Uyghur, so that's why I know.
Ondan keyin ikinci yana cho'ng qul zavodi Ürümçi shahar Badavanga joylashgan sanoat rayoni. Bu yerga 300 dan 500 gacha qiz yigitlar ishlaydi.
And another slave factory was located in Badawan. There are from 300 to 500 young girls and boys work there.
Ondan keyin men shu vatanimiz Sharq Turkiston Urumchi shahrida boshlang'ich maktabda 28 yil Xitoy tili dars o'qituvchisi bo'ldim. Bu kamp lagerlar qurilgandan keyin shu suyumlik narsada o'quvchilarimning intayin dashtiga ta hozir qadar unutmaydim.
I worked as a teacher for an elementary school in Urumqi for 28 years. Until today, I am unable to forget the young, innocent students that I have.
Çünkü 2016 yıl ahırdan başlap, şu okuyucularımızın dadısı, apisi veya ki bütün tukalı tutup ekitilgen boğaçka, bunlar daim bizden sual soraydı. Muallim, neymiş için beni apam tutup ekitidi ya ki dadam ne ya ki tağam ne? Dep müşlak suallar soraydı. Bu suallara ben cevap verişke aciz idim.
From the end of 2016, the children, the students in my classroom, they start to ask, teacher, why my parents are taken? Why my uncle are taken? Because there are many parents who are taken, separated from the children. And I was unable to answer that questions because it's very painful.
Lekin şundak olsun özümünü zorgu berip, bisip ulağı teselli berettim. Balam, hükümet ulanı devlet tili ügünüşke eketti. Sen hatırcam bu çokum kaytıp gidiyordu da. Yani neçik gündeki ulan yan davamlık benden soraydı. Malum neymiş için bizdeki mektep tutup okumaydı ulan da. Demek ta hazır kadar meni jürgümde azaplaydıgını şu okuyucularımdan cevapsız kalan şu sualları.
But I had to explain them differently. I would tell them that, you know what, your parents had to learn national language. That's why they were taken. But the kids were unable, they didn't satisfy with that. They said, if they had to learn the language, why would they not learn the language, the school that we are in right now? Until today, I feel the extreme pain that I wasn't able to give them the satisfactory answer.
O yer yani şu okuyucularınki balla kampüsü, yaslı kampüsler tesis kılındı. Onda altalmış yataklık mektep degen bilen ameliyatlarımız kampılar.
Since then, there is children's camp start to appear. Like it's so good. It's the name called it's kindergarten or boarding school, but in reality, it was a camps for the children.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I think I'm going to just submit a few more questions in writing, so because my time is up, so I yield that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carson, you're now recognized for a 5-minute colloquy.
Thank you so very much, Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member Krishnamurthy. Ramadan Mubarak. I extend a warm welcome to the witnesses. I thank you both, and I thank you all for working together to make this happen. First, our committee recognizes the very unique and irreplaceable Uyghur people and the right to practice your faith and your faiths, to celebrate your culture and your language, and to pass it down to your children. Your testimony is so very powerful, and we thank you for your bravery in coming here today telling your stories. Ms. Haitawaji, thank you again, and thank you, Ms. Sedik. You talk about the indoctrination that you've endured, both of you. We know the CCP's attempt to marginalize and systematically erase people's cultures and beliefs is a form of oppression. Can you elaborate on how this made you feel as a Uyghur woman and its impact on the community and its implications going forward, and what the global community has to do to bring a change?
Ben cezalarında turvatqa vaqtimda bizge kuniga 11 saatlab qonun, tarix, Xitoy tili darsini o'tadi. Uning keyindan mushu o'tilgan darslarning hammani biz cho'qim yodlashimiz kerakdi. Hafta oxirida imtihon berdik.
While I was in the camp, there are 11 hours lesson, brainwashing lesson on daily basis. The lessons include Chinese law, history, and the Chinese language. And also we had to memorize everything. And also we have to test after learning all of them.
Biz bütünlüğü şu partiya hükümetini küyleydiğen kızıl nakşılarını hepte bir nakşı ügünümüz bundan hep takır imtihan verimiz.
And also we have to learn songs that praising Chinese Communist Party and the government. And again we have to test at the end of the week.
Ondan biz kündülük hatiri yazışqa mecburlandık. Biz şu lagerga verip bir iş küçeyden keyin bu kündülük hatiriga biz özümüzdeki yürek sözlerimizni yazamaymiz. Fakat şu partiya hükümetinin bizni türmelek apalmay şu mektepte o'qitish fursatini berganligiga rahmat etamiz. Faqatla partiya hükümetini yaxshiligini bizga bergan şu esil yaxshi kunlarga rahmat etdik.
And also we have to write daily record, daily description or expression about our thoughts. And that thoughts shouldn't be genuine, and that should be just including praising the government and authority, that thank them that we will not take into prison, rather we will send to the re-education to learn. We have to be grateful for that we're not sent to prison.
Her günü sınıf kirge vaktimizde tamak yiyişten burun partiya ulug' vatanimizga rahmat, Jungo Kommunistik Partiyasiga rahmat, Xi Jinpingga rahmat deydik. Darsdan tushganda tamoqdan keyin bu uchchiga tilak tilaydik.
Before eating, we have to praise or say that we are grateful to country, we are very grateful for China's Communist Party, and we are grateful for Xi Jinping. And after finish eating, again, we have to praise them and thank them.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm out of time. I'll submit questions for the record. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Carson. Thank you both, again, for your powerful testimony. I now invite our other witnesses to join Ms. Haitawaja and Ms. Saduk at the witness table. Well, in the interest of time, as the logistics get ironed out here, we'll start with the introductions. We're fortunate tonight to hear from three witnesses with deep expertise about the CCP's genocide of the Uyghur people. They will help us understand the scale and scope of the CCP's genocide, how it fits within the party's broader strategy and vision for the future, and they'll help us think through what we can do in response. First, we have Dr. Adrian Zenz, a senior fellow and director of China Studies for the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. He's a leading scholar on the Uyghur genocide, and his analysis of leaked Chinese government documents, including the China cables and the Xinjiang papers, played a paramount role in bringing these atrocities to light. Thank you for being here. We're also very privileged to have Chair Nuri Turkel, chair of the U.S. Commission on International Freedom. Mr. Turkel is also a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute and co-founder and chair of the Uyghur Human Rights Project. He is himself Uyghur, and he is one of the foremost advocates for the Uyghur people. And finally, we're grateful to have Ms. Naomi Kikolar, director of the Center for the Prevention of Genocide at the United States Holocaust Museum. She is a powerful advocate for all genocide victims, and we're grateful for her perspective, particularly from a historical angle. Now, let me recognize before I swear in the witnesses, we've asked them to do something impossible because of the unique sort of format here, and in the interest of time, to limit their remarks to 2 minutes, which really is unfair. I just want to commend that their written testimony was absolutely exceptional, but we're hoping to tease out what you can't say in your very, very unfairly short statement through the question and answer. But we thank you for bearing with us. The hour is late, but the subject is very important, and we appreciate your help. So thank you again. If you could, the three of you could please stand and raise your right hand. I'll now swear you in. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated. Let the record show that the additional witnesses have answered in the affirmative. Each of our new witnesses will now have 2 minutes for their opening remarks. Dr. Zenz, you may begin.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, these witness statements we've heard do not speak of isolated incidents. They reflect a systematic policy. Classified documents outline Beijing's secret plan to subjugate the region. Xi Jinping himself asked Chen Quanguo, experienced with crushing dissent in Tibet, to move to Xinjiang to execute his plan, which began in 2017 with mass internments and ran for 5 years initially. Xinjiang detained an estimated 1 to 2 million ethnic group members in re-education camps and implemented measures to prevent births, leading to unprecedented declines in Uyghur birth rates. The presumed goal of these measures and the intent behind them was to optimize the ethnic population structure, diluting Uyghur populations with Han because concentrated Uyghur populations are considered a national security threat. According to secret speeches by Xi Jinping in 2014, suppressing ethnic resistance in Xinjiang is paramount for achieving the CCP's major 21st century goals. Genocide research says that preventative internment targeting an entire ethnic group is a sign of political paranoia. Political paranoia is an exaggerated threat perception that genocide scholars have linked to all major atrocities in the past 100 years. This paranoia is well worth studying because it also informs the CCP's stance towards everything else, including the United States. Policy Recommendation 1. The US government should sanction implicated current and former central government officials. My written testimony contains a list. So far, the US has not sanctioned a single central government official, even though they are implicated. Having determined genocide in Xinjiang, second, the government should spell out how it will follow through on its treaty obligation to prevent the crime of genocide. Third, the government should establish measures to prevent US investors, such as pension funds, to invest in Chinese entities implicated in human rights violations, surveillance, and military modernization. Thank you.
That was very well done in 2 minutes. Chair Turkle, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Chairman Gallagher, Ranking Member Krishnamurthy, members of the committee. I'm truly grateful for your leadership in addressing, prioritizing the Uyghur genocide. The picture that we're looking at and been hearing is bleak. Millions of Uyghur people are still suffering, and the death count is still unknown. The Chinese government, as noted earlier today, using high-tech tools like biometric scanning, using forced collection of DNA, iris scans, face scans, and voice prints, combined with mobile phone tracking apps, massive network surveillance cameras, the CCP has mobilized AI machine learning for its total control regime. Congress must also ensure full enforcement of the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act. This bill requires global Magnitsky sanction on all entities and officials responsible for the atrocities. To date, only 12 Chinese officials and entities currently under GlobalMax sanctions. This is a pitiful response. We need GlobalMax sanctions on all the Chinese high-tech giants that are maintaining genocide that tech built. Making these companies no-go zone is long overdue. I urge this committee to focus on China's transnational repression. It is past time to strengthen government authorities to defend US sovereignty and civil liberties under our Constitution. Tonight, I will speak only to my own case as a Uyghur American. Chinese officials have continued to prevent me from seeing my mother, despite involvement by senior officials, including Secretary Blinken and Ambassador Burns. It is extremely painful to say this, but it is unlikely that I will see my mother again in this life. In fact, my father and I said goodbyes along with my mother at the time that when the Chinese government, CCP, started rounding up Uyghur intellectuals and families with foreign contacts. My late father even told me that he wished he died earlier so that he could left this world with good memories. I urge the committee to address China's massive program of state-imposed forced labor that we can discuss a little bit later. Tonight, you have heard from 2 brave women. I salute the courage of these 2 ladies that I call friend, as well as other survivors who borne witness from the inside camps. I have 27 recommendations that you can look at. In closing, I wanted to thank the committee. Crimes against humanity cannot be treated merely as an area of disengagement or disagreement. Worse yet, an irritant in a bilateral relationship. This is truly more than a competition. It is a battle for the world, and our children will inherit it. Genocide is defined as an international crime for a reason. Confronting is not an option. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kukolar, you're recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Gallagher and Ranking Member Krishnamurthy, for holding this important hearing today and for shedding light on the plight of the Uyghur people. Mr. Chairman, I ask that my full statement on the museum's 2021 report to make us slowly disappear be entered into the record, in addition with pictures and stories of Uyghurs speaking in interviews with the museum about the unknown fate of their family members.
Without objections, ordered.
The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum seeks to do for community today what was not done for the Jews of Europe during the Holocaust. The words "never again" were meant to be a lasting commitment, no matter how challenging, including when a superpower like China is perpetrating the crimes. When most people think of genocide, they think of places like Auschwitz-Birkenau, where over 1 million Jews were systematically killed. The Chinese government is using subtler tactics to intentionally destroy the Uyghur people: mass surveillance and detention, torture, transfer of children, separation of men and women, and restrictions on reproductive capacity. These are crimes that impact all, but women in particular, who for too long have been overlooked as the intentional targets of genocide. The Chinese government is failing in its legal obligations to prevent genocide. What then does upholding "never again" mean in this context? First and foremost, the Chinese government must halt its crimes, release detainees, and allow unfettered access to independent monitors in Xinjiang. The scale of the crimes against the Uyghurs is daunting, and we know that confronting the crimes of a powerful perpetrator will be difficult. The United States alone cannot prevent these crimes. We must work with other governments, Uyghur civil society, and the private sector to develop swift, coordinated, and a global strategy to protect the Uyghur community. Thus far, no such strategy exists. For more than a decade, it has been official U.S. policy that preventing mass atrocities and genocide is a core national security interest and a core moral responsibility. To live up to this commitment, 3 prongs must minimally be pursued. First, degrade the capacity of perpetrators to commit further atrocities, for example, via expanding and strengthening enforcement of financial sanctions targeting commercial entities that are supporting China's repressive policies, and export controls on advanced technologies. 2, persuade perpetrators to stop committing atrocities, for example, by promoting accountability, including through the creation of an independent, impartial investigative mechanism to collect, preserve, and analyze evidence. And 3, protect Uyghurs outside China, for example, by providing asylum and refuge from transnational repression. In conclusion, this is our moment to abide by values that the American people hold dear. This is our moment to abide by U.S. strategic interests. On visiting the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, people often ask themselves, what would I have done had I been alive during the Holocaust? Let history guide us today so that we ask, now that I know what the Chinese government is doing to the Uyghurs, what will I do? This is our never again moment. Thank you.